welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, July 24th. Jaguars, they have started to report to training camp. You're starting to see all these other teams around the league having training camp practices. The Jags, they will officially hit the practice field on Wednesday, July 26th. So, as we're leading up to getting out on the practice field and all that fun stuff, we've been running through some position battles here. Started out with wide receiver, looking at cornerback here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think you're probably going to see 5 or 6 guys on the active roster, on the 53-man roster when training camp ends. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the position battles at that spot and how this could shake out in training camp for the Jaguars. Obviously, Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams, they are locked in on the outside. Those are your 2 starters on the outside. Tyson Campbell going into his 3rd year, looking like a star in the making. Had a really, really good sophomore season for the Jaguars in 2022, looking to build upon that in 2023. And then Darius Williams, he's been a really good outside corner for a long time, going back to the Los Angeles Rams, coming over to the Jaguars last year. Took them a little while to get him in the right spot, but they finally figured it out, and he locked it down on his side of the field as well. So you feel really good about those 2. They are locked in. I think right now Trey Herndon is certainly the leader in the clubhouse for that nickel job. He's not going anywhere, I don't think. So that looks like 3 players right there out of 5 or 6, probably 6, that are going to end up making this roster. So I think that's half of your cornerback room right there. And now we'll get into the rest of it. But please, if you enjoy the content here, hit that like and subscribe button, notification bell so you don't miss a show. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear if you enjoy the content here. If you want to support the channel further, that's the best way to do it. Really appreciate it. genjag.com/shop. Getting into the rest of this group, beyond Campbell, Williams, and Herndon, I think you've got a bunch of youth for the most part, right? Gregory Jr. and Buster Brown, they were late-round picks in 2022. Eric Hallett and Christian Braswell were late-round picks in 2023. You've got Chris Claybrooks, who's still on the roster at the moment, a really good special teamer, a speed demon. He's now been arrested twice, though, this offseason, and one of those charges is a felony for false imprisonment. I don't know how long he's going to last on this roster. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, do not want to throw him under the bus when I don't know the entire situation, but not looking good for Chris Claybrooks there, obviously. You've got Caleb Hayes, Devod Wilson, Oliver Martin. All of those guys are undrafted rookies in 2023. Can any of them make an impact in training camp to where they could stake a claim for one of those back end of the roster jobs at corner? Anybody who's making the back end at corner, they're going to have to play special teams. That's for sure. Tavon Campbell spent 2023 with the Jags as well. He's kind of a veteran at this point, a younger veteran, but a veteran nonetheless, his 4th year in the league. The Jaguars like what he brings to the table overall. I think they like his demeanor, his work ethic, and I think they feel comfortable with what they have in him. Now, I don't know this, but from what I've heard and seen, I think that the Jaguars are a lot higher on Christian Braswell and Eric Hallett than they are on their late-round 2022 cornerback picks. Gregory Jr. and Buster Brown, neither of those guys really acquitted themselves super well in 2022, in my opinion. I think Hallett and Braswell are both very good athletes. When you look at the tape, I think they could both have some sneaky upside in this defense. Hallett played a lot in the slot, even though he was listed as a safety for Pitt. He played a lot in the slot for them. Christian Braswell played more outside at Rutgers. I kind of expect them to overtake Junior and Brown on the depth chart before training camp ends. It's going to be an interesting battle between those guys that were drafted in the last 2 drafts. 4 players on the back end of the draft fighting for some jobs here. Gregory Jr. is more of a slot type guy, kind of compete with Eric Hallett. I think Christian Braswell will compete to play outside and inside. So he'd be competing more with Brown, in my opinion. I don't think you see Buster Brown as a slot type corner. I don't think he has the movement, the skill set to play in the slot consistently. Maybe one of the undrafted guys that we mentioned pops. We'll see how that plays out. Like I said, I think Tavon Campbell feels like a decent bet, but he's going to have to hold off these young players for sure. The Jaguars, we know they like him. They kept him around for all of last season. He got some playing time when they had some injuries, so we'll see how that plays out. I think those lead pipe locks, as I mentioned, Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon, I'd be surprised if Christian Braswell or Eric Hallett don't make the team. And that's, again, just kind of reading the tea leaves, seeing what I've seen on tape from them in college, and so far what I've heard throughout the offseason program. But they're going to have to earn it in training camp. And Gregory Jr. and Buster Brown, they have a year of experience in this system on their side. So we'll see if they're able to kind of acquit themselves better in 2023 than they did in 2022. But if Eric Hallett and Christian Braswell make it, you've already got Trey Herndon, Darius Williams, Tyson Campbell. That's 5 right there. So then you'd be talking about one more slot potentially. I think Gregory Jr. has a good amount of upside as a slot player. I think he's a good athlete. He was undersized coming out of a small school. I think it was an uphill battle for him a little bit in 2022, adjusting to the speed of the game, adjusting to the NFL level. Can he kind of settle in and start to look more himself, more like the guy that you saw in college in 2023? I think if he can, he's going to have a really good opportunity. Buster Brown got reps last year, valuable reps. They did not go very well, but I think that you saw what he could do in the SEC in 2021, leading the conference in interceptions. There's some talent there. We'll see how this all shakes out, but that kind of does it for the cornerback room, this cornerback position battle preview. Like I said, I think there's 3 that are locked in. I think Hallett and Braswell, I'd be surprised if they don't make the roster. So that kind of is the majority of the room right there. Maybe one other guy to make it. And the Jaguars, they could be active, potentially still looking at veteran cornerback options. They're reportedly interested in Arthur Maulet. Spent the last 2 years in Pittsburgh as their starting slot corner. Obviously, if they bring him in, he'll be competing for a job and probably be able to beat out one of those guys considering his experience level. But we'll see how it plays out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. You can follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Please smash that like and subscribe button. Check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.